Miami hockey head coach Chris Bergeron after the Red Hawks had a weekend against Western Michigan with a home-and-home series, and they enjoy a week off before heading to North Dakota for the NCHC playoffs. Coach, obviously we finished the regular season this past weekend, so can you give your overall final thoughts on how the regular season went?
Disappointing. Didn't find the level of consistency I was hoping we would find. And that's individually and collectively. We had some individuals that we were hoping that would make a step this year, and for whatever reason didn't. And overall, disappointed in the standings, disappointed in the record, and lots of work to do.
Coach, let's look at the weekend. Another couple of games where the scores were close late in the second period, even into the third period, but couldn't come away with the wins. I'm guessing kind of what you just talked about, the level of consistency and maybe being able to finish games that kind of been not only the story of this past weekend, but the story of the whole season a little bit.
Yeah. And it was a different thing every night. I mean, last night it was, a senior losing track of his guy in the D zone. I mean, it was that simple. And it was, I select that play because that's what it seems to come down to. It was a really odd play on Friday. That was the winning goal. That a puck that our goaltender should have, but probably, a finished check that we should have had earlier. So it was something different. But I can tell you, Wads, it was every day. The toughest thing this team has, I guess the toughest thing they've struggled with is realizing that the habits on a daily basis translate to games. They don't seem to want to wrap their arms around that. And when you go through a transition, the kids we've recruited, we're telling them that this is what you're walking into. The everyday habits are going to be coached and harped on and focused on and demanded and so on. And we've got very few kids on our team who were able to go through that in the recruiting process. So because I say that because some days the kids look at us like, what are you talking about? What does it matter? It's only practice. And I know that's the Allen Iverson, are we talking about practice? But as we all know it, who work at the college level, practice matters. These aren't professionals. Most of them aren't going to play professional hockey or at any kind of like from a standpoint of where you don't have to worry, but you're just that talented where the habits don't matter. And it caught up to us. Now, I do think that we set a new level of competition and a new bar for that level, because I think we were much more competitive over the course of the season, Wads, but still not even close to as consistent. I would like to see that competitiveness. We were consistent with our competitiveness in practice. Our practices this year from a competition standpoint, from a locked-in standpoint, we're much, much better. From a habit standpoint, they weren't. We're still struggling with that. And again, I think those habits ended up catching up to us in different ways over the course of the season, but they caught up to us. We could probably go back to 6 or 8 games where middle to late second period, we are right there. Lead, tie, whatever, and it slips away for whatever reason. And it seemed to be something different all the time.
And maybe just a kind of an extension of that as well. How many times, you probably know this better than I do, how many times within a minute, maybe even 2 minutes after allowing a goal, did you give up another goal? I mean, there were a lot of times where it seemed like there were a lot of quick flurries of goals against.
To me, it happened all the time. And to me, that was a direct result of a team that's waiting for something bad to happen. We talked about this yesterday. We could have talked about it Friday. We could have talked about it 10 times over the course of the year. We battled hard to get back to 2-2 or 3-3 or 4 whatever it was. And then you fall asleep for 30 seconds and you're down 4-2 and you're thinking, what the heck just happened? You can't, when you've got a group who's winning at a level that we plan on winning at, okay, you give up a goal and it's 3-2 for the other team, and you settle back into playing. There's still plenty of game to go. So you don't feel sorry for yourself for 45 seconds or a minute, and then you're down by another goal or two. I will take full responsibility for those lapses. There's no doubt about it. I understand the buck stops here, but it's tough to control the mindset of a 20-year-old who this is a pun, but we are on thin ice with our confidence. We're straddling a very fine line with a team who's got a record like we have over the last 2 years, and the reality is we're waiting for something bad to happen. That's why it hurt us maybe more than most that we weren't able to play non-conference this year. I'm not saying we would have won all the conference game or non-conference games. By no means would we have, but we maybe would have been able to create some confidence in those non-conference games. We'd have a little success. And because it is a mindset that you can't teach, you have to earn it. And we didn't earn it. We didn't.
As Ali mentioned, you got a bye week coming up again after a bye week the week before, but you're getting ready for the postseason, and you know it's going to be North Dakota now. So does it matter who you were going to play going into the bye, or were you going to kind of wait until after next weekend to start preparing for North Dakota? How does this off time work getting ready for the postseason?
Well, I do think it matters because we've had no success against North Dakota, where I think Duluth, St. Cloud, we won one of the games and we were right in another one or two. And Duluth, I thought, yes, we found ways to lose, but there was, of the 6 games, there was, I think 3 or 4 of them that we were right there. And we found our way to the wrong side of that play. So I felt like there was a little more confidence against what potentially would be 2 or 3. If Omaha was 3, or if Omaha was going to finish second, we've had lots of success against them over the last 2 years. So that was kind of where we were hoping. That didn't happen. So I do think it matters from a mental standpoint. That's going to be a difficult one to overcome. But I don't think we start to prepare for North Dakota, before the weekend, because it's very difficult to prepare for a team like that. You can tell them all you want about their depth and about their strength at all 3 positions, but it's a very difficult thing to prepare for, other than to let them see it, which we don't want to. We're not going to overdo. Look what North Dakota does. We never do that. We prepare ourselves, and our focus will be our execution in practice, our habits in practice, starting whenever we get back to practice here after a couple of days off.